Hi, this is the lesson number 15 and in the series of British literature, and in this lesson we shall continue our journey about the greatest poet Sir Geoffrey Chaucer. In the previous lesson we discussed about the two poems, especially about House of Fame and Annalida and Arcite, and now in this lesson we shall continue with the poem Parlement of Fowls. So it is an allegory, and means in allegory the poet or the writer wants to say something indirectly with a different story or with the different things. He is targeting something else. So what is this? First there are some reference points to this poem. At that time I told you that Edward III was the king and then became the king Richard II. So in 1382, there was the marriage of the King Richard II, and it was with Anne of Bohemia. And at that time, in the celebration of this marriage, Sir Geoffrey Chaucer wrote this poem, and the name of the poem is Parlement of Fowls. So fowl here means birds. Parliament of birds, it is also called as. The birds are talking, and it's a dream vision again. So in number of his poems we are seeing just the poet is having a dream. So again here we find the poet is having a dream. It is written in rhyme royal stanza, and it has a reference to Saint Valentine's Day. So in the past there is a Saint Valentine and his day, a lover's day. Could be the same Valentine Day that we assume on 14th February, maybe the same. So it has a reference to Valentine Day, and the poet talks throughout the poem. The poet talks about the art and love, and one should have love for them. So in this poem, first, how it begins, the content. The poet, again, he is reading a book, and it's written by Cicero. And now, who is Cicero? When we are reading these poems or having references, we are indirectly coming known to some of these historic figures. As in previous lesson, we just came to know about Dante, Italian writer, and now Cicero. Cicero is a famous Roman writer. We talk about him in European literature, Cicero. So he was reading a book, and while reading the book, automatically he falls asleep. And in the during the sleep, he has a dream, and in that dream, there is a marriage, and in that marriage, all the birds are there. They are celebrating, and they are further discussing the things about art and love. And then Saint Valentine, he comes and he talks about one principle, that love needs love, no power. Love is for the love's sake, not for something else. This is the principle, or this is the ideology he gives to all these birds. And then it goes with the theme of real love. What is real love all about? So the poet explains this. And then the birds, all the birds, they are there, and they are talking, in fact they are debating what is the real love. And in previous year there is a one question, that Parlement of Fowl is what kind of poetry it is. It is a debate poetry, and also it is a beast fable poetry. So in two categories you can take it, as a debate poetry because birds are debating. Second, beast or fable means that there are birds involved in it. So the next poem we have, The Legend of Good Woman. This is the poem we shall discuss now. There is one more poem because it has some references to the to another poem, that is Troilus and Cresside by Geoffrey Chaucer. But that poem is quite longer, and I think we shall discuss that poem in the next lesson. For the moment, because there is a brief introduction to this poem and not too much in detail we need to go about this poem. So we can continue with this poem now. The Legend of Good Poem. It is again about a dream vision, and second, it is unfinished. And in this poem, the most importantly, for the first time, see the significant use of iambic pentameter. Again, these are the things related to meter, rhyme, and rhythm. So just note down these things. Iambic pentameter. Then there is a prologue to this poem in which Chaucer is means disapproved or reprimand by the god of love and his queen Alceste. So in okay, now I have to tell you something about the poem Troilus and Cresside, because it has some reference to it. Chaucer wrote a poem, Troilus and Cresside, and in that poem he portrayed a woman. In fact, he portrayed the character of women in a very poor manner, means especially describing as that the women are not worth relying. They do not have any character. They are okay, characterless. Further, you can say as Chaucer has presented their a character in the poem Troilus and Cresside, means there is a woman, she deceives the hero in that poem. So that is why the god of love and his queen Alceste get annoyed or disapprove the work of Chaucer. So now Chaucer is trying to make something for the damage, means he is now trying to write something in the favor of women to improve something what he has written in the previous work. So he want to express his ideas against the previous views what he has given about the women. So for the bad portrayal of the woman, the goddess or the god of love are annoyed with him. It is said in the prologue, and he is now going to say so many things about the virtues of the women, of the great women in the past. And in the content he talks about 10 stories of great women, and there are about 9 sections in this poem, and there are some legendary women's names are, if you are familiar to any of them, Cleopatra. From Julius Caesar you can get her name. Thisbe, Dido. Dido is also a famous character in one of the poem by I think Marlowe. So you will get to know about. Then Hypsipyle, Medea, Lucre, Adine, Philomela, Phyllis. So there are a number of such names we are not familiar, and even their names are not so easy to pronounce for me, as I feel. Means there are such names from the history he has taken, but the main point is that he is admiring these women's. This is the main point. He is all the way admiring them and for their virtues and great deeds. And now, as a reference, first there is a point that is telenode. What is telenode? When a poet says something as an idea, and in that by the time somewhere he realizes that yes, that idea was wrong, so in any of his work then he goes against that idea. That is called as telenode. So Chaucer in the Troilus and Cresside expressed the idea about the untrustworthiness of the women, and now in this work, the legend of great women or good women, he expresses great faith and virtues. He talks so many good about the women. So this is telenode. He is reversing his own idea previously expressed. And Lord Alfred Tennyson, Victorian age writer, I think, yes, he has written a poem, The Legend of A Dream of a Fair Woman. A Dream of a Fair Woman by Alfred Tennyson, and it is much based on the theme of the same, The Legend of Good Women. So The Legend of Good Women by Chaucer and A Dream of a Fair Woman or Woman, sorry, there is a singular, A Dream of a Fair Woman by Alfred Tennyson. So that's all we have in this lesson. We have discussed about Legend of Good Woman and Parlement of Foul. In the next lesson, we shall talk about Troilus and Crusade. That is a very interesting story. You will definitely enjoy that. So I hope you are enjoying these lessons. So thanks very much for watching this lesson, and we shall meet next in the next lesson. Thanks for watching this lesson again. Have a nice day.